Oh yeah, there's the poor boy from Liverpool. And I am poor. Yes. Poor in every way. Poor in health. Poor in riches. Poor in everything. But I'm just amazed up that I've got you lot here. You wonderful people. And I hope to answer all the questions. And even come out with your own, um, you know, theories. Even if it's a theory. But stop reading, please, and looking at Western narrative. That's what's the downfall. And it's all propaganda. Myra. Hiya, Myra. Hello, Frank. And friends. Hiya, Myra. Our lovely girl from South Africa, all the way from South Africa. Lovely lady. And Franco. Hiya, Franco. Looking forward to your discussion, reference to something that to Putin. Something doesn't add up. Why Putin is remaining or seems powerless at the degree, and Ukraine has got. Okay. And carries on by saying attacks in Moscow and St. Petersburg, serious pressure in Crimea, and the expansion of attacks on oil refineries and the Wildberries shows all is not well within the Kremlin. What is the end game for Putin? The end game is that 84% of the public, the Russian public, is behind him. That's all that I can say about, the public. Also, what you've got is desperation. And it will backfire. And you're talking about Wildberries. Now, they're even going after Amazon. Believe it or not. Now, the point is, with they're trying to make life uncomfortable for the Russian public. So what would your thing be? What would your thing be, Franco? What would your scenario be? Would you say, oh, Putin's, he's no good? And so what would they do? Would they change regime? Would they change Putin and put in a puppet that will go along with the West and everyone will be okay and they can all go into Russia and take all their resources because that's what it's all about? I hope you're aware of that. Take all their resources. They did it under Yeltsin. The Americans did it under Yeltsin. And what did he do? When Putin came in, he chased them all. He chased them all. This hasn't been. This war with Iran, this war with Russia, the proxy war that America is doing, is participating in. And with all the lies that America are coming out with negotiations, you've only got to look at the negotiations yesterday between Rubio and Lavrov. It lasted less than half an hour. And Rubio went over in order to say, listen, will you stop giving intel to Iran? Because they're killing, our troops. And Lavrov said, are you sure that we're doing that? That it's us giving them intel? And he said, well, what do you want to tell you what? Lavrov said, you stop giving intel and missiles to Zelensky in Ukraine to target Russia because they haven't got the means or anything to target anywhere in Russia. It's only your intel and Europe's intel. But Europe haven't got the satellites up there. You have. And Rubio, and he just went, oh, fuck off, and went. Lavrov, waste of time talking to the Americans. Waste of time because they just tell you lies. They string you along. And that's what they've been doing for years. And they've got wise to them. They've got wise to them. So that's the point, Franco. The people are behind, and getting back to, trying to make life uneasy for ordinary Russians. They'll just say, we've had enough of this. Not to Putin, about Putin, but they say, you've got to do something now. So what's he done in the last week? I always forget this fella's name, but he's called Armageddon. And he's just come out, hasn't he, and says, well, we're going to go into Kiev and we're going to go into Odessa. They've already blockaded Odessa. That's the end. Once that's blockaded, Ukraine can't do anything. They can't do anything. Now they're saying, oh, well, we use barges to get grain out. Are they kidding? We'll use barges and trains. How are they going to feed the world like that? And don't forget that Russia also supply everything to the West, including grain. The Americans can't do without it. And also oil. And there's Carlyle saying, oh, we'll get them in the Indian Ocean. We'll stop them in the Indian Ocean. Nothing has changed in Russia. The economy or anything. It's all backfiring on the West, Europe especially. It's nuts. Everything is backfiring with all these sanctions. All the sanctions, 21 sanctions they've given Russia. What's happened? And also, Franco, what you've got to think of, lad, is this. As the battleground. Look at the battleground. Has Ukraine taken any land back? No. They're just going further and further into Ukraine. That's all they're doing. And they're going to make a buffer zone right down to Odessa. Once they take Odessa, they'll go into Kiev. And the likes of Zelensky and his cronies will have to go to a place called Lviv, which is in the far west. And that's it. It'll be over then. But this Armageddon fella, I forget his name, General Armageddon, he's ruthless, this fella. He's had enough. He said, I've had enough of this. And that's why he's being brought back. So he said it. He said it publicly. He's told the Russian people, we're going to go into Kiev and we're going to go into Odessa. That's it. So the people are behind Putin. And if you're talking, see, you might be listening to the likes of the Reuters and Fox News and the Daily Telegraph and that. They're absolutely useless. It's all propaganda. Putin's in trouble. Remember a few years ago, I think it was about 3 years ago, they were saying that Putin was suffering from leukemia, then he had cancer, then he was suffering from blindness, then everything he was suffering from. He's still walking around. It's all propaganda, Franco. And as I keep saying, my old professor said to me, when I was doing the history, he said, once you tear down the walls of propaganda, you come to a big wall, truth. And that's where your truth is, down the propaganda. And as Leo Tolstoy said, history would be a wonderful thing if it was true. And this is happening today. What they're saying about Russia, it's not true. So that's me take on it. Kevin. Hello, are we? How are we? I'm all right, Kevin. How are you? I bet. Yeah, I bet you will be late. I was doing my hair. Just had a shower, actually. Just had a shower and just comb my hair and come straight on here because I was late. I was late, actually. And Raphael, hello, Frank and chat. Hope you're all okay. These are all okay. Raphael, my friend, Steve Malala, me great mate. Hi, Mary, Frank and friends. Hi, Mary, Frank and friends. From my old mate, Steve. Brilliant lad. Lovely lad. And Raphael, Frank is always doing, is it? Fucking hell, I've got to comb my hair, you know. Got to comb my hair. And the poet says, John Travolta was always doing his hair and staying alive too. It's an Italian thing. I think you might be right there, to be honest. You've got to comb your hair, haven't you? God blimey. And little Linda, even Frank, even Linda. Good to see you, sweetheart. Good evening, guys, says Ali, all the way from Romania. So we've got Romania and South Africa in. Romania and South Africa. And Raphael says, yeah, it's an Italian thing, though. Can't see gel in Frank's no gel. Thanks, Raphael. And Steve Mulholland, the last time King Charles said Andy Burnham, he wanted to destroy the photos. Yeah. He's a phony, Andy. We all knew that. He was put in, wasn't he? He's a puppet. Nothing's changing. Nothing is absolutely changing in this country, unfortunately. I think. And I'd say, good evening, Frank and chatters. I'd say, good to see you, mate. Really, honestly. Good to see everybody. And Myra, to Steve Mulholland. Hi, Steve Mulholland. Thank you, Myra. I said it here. Big up legends, air on point. That's why he's a Hollywood scriptwriter. Do you see the way he just said it? Air on point. Now, you get the likes of Brad Pitt saying things like that. Air on point. Wouldn't you? Come on. Wouldn't you? I think he's about got me with my hair especially. He's going to be late, he's doing his hair. I only mentioned that once, didn't I? Once, you know what I say? I had to comb my hair before when I was late. And he said, never forgiven me. Lovely. Rob McIntyre, I know. Good evening, Frank and chat. Hope you're all doing good. I wish I was half Italian so I could have a head of hair like yours, Frank. I'm going bald at 40. Do you know years? I think it was the 70s. I was watching the telly once. You see this farmer, right? And he was, it was on like Granada Reports or something. And he said, I really was a bit baldy, I was baldy here, and I was a little bit baldy over here. And he said, and one day, he said, I was bending down. He said, I was trying to, and the cow come over and licked me head. Licked it. He said, look at it, it's growing. And honestly, I thought, this is in the 70s, and I thought, what the fuck? And he went back a year later to see if his head was all right. And, well, they never went back. They rang up saying, can we come back, to see if his, his head. And his daughter said, he died. And they said, the cow died. No, he died. You can't make these things up. And this was a news report. And they said, we rang up because someone wrote in and said about the, the cow's lick, a year previous. So they said, And as I said, they phoned him up. But it was the daughter who answered, and they said, can we come along and film, he's dead. The cow. Oh, my dad. You can't make these things up, can you? Absolutely amazing. Oh, geez, even a Cedric. So, dear, oh dear. I wish someone had remembered that. It was so funny. I was laughing me up, and it was a serious thing. I think I was watching, that Stewart fella, he's in fucking jail now. The sex offender. I forget his name. Anyway, he was doing a news report, and it was about a mountaineer, and he was testing his new gear out in his house. And as he was talking, he said, mountaineer, he must have been known for it to be a news report. So he was testing his new gear out and a new rope. And he ended up hanging himself. And that's him, Stuart's all, thank you. That's him, Stuart's all. And he ended up hanging himself. And Stuart's all said, and he was talking, and then all of a sudden he just bursted out laughing. He couldn't stop laughing. The poor lad's hanged himself, whatever he was fucking doing on the balusters and the rope. Testing his new gear out. You just can't make these mad stories up. But anyway, getting back to tonight, and but it's just one of those things that you come across. You just come across, and you've got to say it, haven't you? Come out and tell you, hoping that someone would remember it. But anyway. Yes, so Trump, and he just wants to. I'll tell you something now. He's trying to get away from Iran. I'm telling you now. The war is too big for him. He thought that they could take it. So you've got to go back to 1999, and General Clark, when he said, we're going to take these Middle Eastern countries, and Iran was the last. And that was the last. Because, look, Iran is a very rich country, very rich. They've bought arms off everybody. And they know that they've never trusted America. They've got intelligence, you know. They've got intel all over the place. And, you know, going back to Wesley Clark, General Wesley Clark saying these mad things that they're going to destroy, you know, America going to destroy the Middle East and Iran will be the last one. They've been prepared. And there's boots on the ground now, isn't it? You know, he wants boots on the ground. They'll be destroyed. They'll be destroyed. And Iran has actually said, we will let everyone, including Saudi. But what they said now is, we will hit their water. Once they hit the water, that's it. The sanitation, that's it. They're thinking about Iran, thinking about going in with grounds on troops, with boots on the ground in Kuwait to just take it over. I don't know whether you're aware of this, but Kuwait, believe it or not, was an invented country by the West, by America, Britain and France around 1958. Because, have a guess where it was? Have a guess what a part is? Iraq. That's why Saddam Hussein, he went to war with Iran. American, you know, yeah, there's a load of arms and whatever, go to war with them. And over 1 million people died in that war with Iran and Iraq. And do you know what it was over? Saddam Hussein wouldn't just go in. He said, okay, we want Kuwait back. We want Kuwait. So they said, well, you know, go in and we'll have a chat after that. Okay. And he really thought that America would just say, okay, here is Kuwait back. And just say to that Bedouin who they put in as the leader, I'm sorry, mate, you know, you're back in Iraq. You don't trust America. Nobody trusts America. I wouldn't trust them. I wouldn't trust them. Unless you bow down to them. Mike Davidson. Hi, Frank. Hiya, Mike. I love Putin, says Mike. Putin's a great leader. He really is a great, great leader. He's kept Russia together. You've only got to look at the countries that are against him. You know, people think that it's just the Ukrainians. There's no fucking Ukrainians left. And what's the EU said? They're sending back every young man and woman at the age, you know, a fighting age, back to Ukraine. And they're stopping them at the borders, you know, these young people trying to get into the European countries. They don't want to go and fight on the front line because they know that they'll be killed. I've seen them dragging them off the streets. And I'm going back a few months ago with this particular thing. You see two fellas, I think they're fucking my age. See them walking down the street, all of a sudden this van pulls up and they just grab them and throw them in the back of the van. Or the side of it, you know, then pull along, get in. 2 out fellas. And that's what they do. Because they've got no soldiers left. So if you think that, you know, with no Ukraine, who's fighting them? Who's fighting them and losing thousands? NATO. They're fighting NATO. They're fighting other countries. Do you ever remember that English fella who he got captured? And he was saying, they treat me well. Yeah, they're great, you know, the Russian, they're smashing. And they sent him back home. They said, yeah, I'm fucking paid his flight to get back home. Don't come back. And he ended up going back, you know, all bravado. Oh, yeah, I'm going to go back, you know, fighting fighting for democracy. What fucking democracy is in Ukraine? No opposition, no nothing, no media, only propaganda media. They're all in jail, you see, all the opposition. All in jail. Investigative reporters, they say, oh, you can either rot in jail, you don't get beaten up every day, or join the army and go to the front line. Some of them did. Most probably they're dead. But you don't hear of that English fella now, do you? I think he'll be one of the victims. And Barry Aldridge, hiya Barry, even in the game, Frank, and chat. The weekend is here, yes. I'll be doing a watch along tomorrow, I think. I'll be doing it about, I don't know, 10:15, 10:30, something like that. Liverpool's pre-season. See what the score is. Playing Sunderland. Be interesting. And Barry says every war is too much. Every war is too much for Trump. Like you said before, Frank, he will say he's won the war, even the one involving the Falklands. Yes. Yes. They've won every war, haven't they? The good old Americans. American pie. That's what it is. American pie. The propaganda that comes out of it's incredible, out of Hollywood. Now they're changing the culture. They're even changing literature, especially over the Iliad, Homer's Iliad. It's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And you're getting arseholes believing. I was watching, I forget, last year, there's a thing called The View. And it's all these women, talking. It's a show. And they did something I forget what it was, very controversial. So they were going to shut it down. Well, they weren't, but people were saying, comments, shut it down. They're a disgrace, these panelists. And there's a girl on it named Sunny Olsen, I think. Sunny Olsen. And they were talking about the issues. And trying to say, well, they were saying about Helen of Troy. But it's all right, Ellen, what's wrong with it being black? And this is the Olsen said, whatever the name is, said, well, I read something. Now, I'm looking at a fella who's put this on, and he's just sitting there. And he's, and she says, I've read a book, and put up the book like that. And she said, and he's saying this particular thing, that Ellen was of a different, and all Greeks, this is what she said. And I believe that all Greeks were black. All Greeks are black. And this fella fucking tore the back out of it. Really got into it. All Greeks are black. Then I read the comments. Should have read the comment. Loads of Greeks. American Greeks, that is. They say, how could you say that? She should be sacked on all this nonsense. But that's the way it is, unfortunately. They're changing the culture, European culture, to suit them. And you've got like a girl. I don't know whether she's a man now. I don't know what she fucking is. I don't, whether she's a girl or a lad, I just don't know. And she's only 5 foot. And she was a nice looking girl a few years ago. Now she's changed into a man. But I don't know, rather than me being rude, how can you have hair as Achilles? Achilles was a warrior, a fearsome warrior. And the memes are unbelievable. They're unmerciful, to be honest. Unmerciful. And Mike Davidson says, we have a situation that goes under the radar in Northern Ireland. It's shocking on both sides, especially those unbelievable terrorism in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I read something. It was called The Butchers of Shankill. That was awful. If anybody hasn't read it, try and get a copy. I lent it out as usual, never got it back. Never got it back. The Butchers of Shankill, mate. Incredible. But, you did get terrorism on a huge scale. And we've lived through it. We've lived through it. And people were saying, why wasn't Liverpool, why wasn't they, involved? Why wasn't there any explosions there? Why Manchester and, different places? Because the Irish community here in Liverpool is huge. And they didn't want to upset the Irish community here. That's why. That's why. But yeah, the Northern Irish thing, we've always felt something, unfortunately, with terrorism. I can't get over those kids, those 3 little beautiful girls in a little dance studio, do like Taylor Swift thing, dance, whatever it was. And this fella goes in and kills them. He kills them, stabs them to death. And what's happening now? There's murder over it. He's going to be transferred to Broadmoor, where he's going to be looked after and not serve out his sentence. I'm not saying anything because it could get myself into trouble. It's just what you think about that. Is it fair? Is it right? That he should go and see this, into this, and see these psychiatrists. Because it's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. And people are saying that he's actually manipulating the system. And Barry says, how's things, TW? Are you watching the game tomorrow? So nice, wasn't it, without any football? Until Barry comes along. You're watching the game tomorrow. Nato Basket's weak individual. You're right, Mike. That's who they've been fighting. That's who they've been fighting. That's who they're fighting now. That's who they're fighting now. Yeah, I'll be here watching or listening to Frank. If he's going to do it, yeah, I'll be doing a watch along. And Franco says, to be honest, I honestly don't know. I just see an endless war where there's no victor. I agree with your points on sanctions and oil dependency in the West. I follow Sputnik News closely. Thing is, you see, Franco, you've got all these sanctions now, and you've got to ask yourself, why is Russia in Ukraine? Why did they go in the first place? And you might think, they just went in. Look, there was a coup d'etat, a proper coup d'etat in 2014 when they threw out, I always forget this fella's name. Anyway, they threw out the legitimate president of Ukraine, the legitimate, and he was voted in by the majority of people. And he just wanted to trade with Russia and the West. That was it. But there was one point, but it goes back to 1989. And that was when the Soviet Union, just broke apart. Excuse me. When the Soviet Union broke apart, Franco, they were told, the West, they said, listen, don't go any further, eastward. And this is NATO they were talking about. And they said, no, we won't. We promise you that. We will these are the Yanks, you never trust the Yanks. But anyway, they said, no, we won't. And they also said, whatever you do, don't expand into NATO, he said. Don't expand into Ukraine. That's on our doorstep. And he said, no chance. No chance, they said. So that was all set. And as I said before, coming up to the millennium, you had Boris Yeltsin in charge, and he was allowing everybody in, all these, people who wanted to make a lot of money out of Russia, especially the oil and diamonds and gold and minerals and wheat, everything. They were having a go at, look at all this, getting all it. And they were making millions. They became oligarchs, they became billionaires. And Putin, he became president, threw them all out. Then you had the Minsk deals, whereas, no Ukraine, no NATO, none of this, we won't go any further, everything. And that was all before coming up to the coup d'etat. They were building up Ukraine's army. And it became, believe it or not, Franco, the biggest army in Europe. And they gave everything. They gave them arms, they gave them missiles, they done everything. And they really thought that they could take Russia on. They really did. And Putin was saying to them, after the overthrow of the president, and he fled to Russia, since 2014, because of the Americans going in to overthrow the president of Ukraine, led by the CIA, MI6, and a woman, a horrible Russophobe, horrible she was, still is, still alive today, Victoria Nuland, and it was led by them to overthrow the government. And they put a puppet government in. This is what you have today, the puppets. But what the Azovs did, I don't know whether you're aware of it, but the Azovs are Nazis. These what you call Banderites that stem back from the Second World War with Stepan Bandera. He was a horror, him. He killed hundreds of thousands of people, him. And the Azovs, they're called the Banderites. And these were going around killing Russian-speaking people. They were just killing them in the Russian-speaking areas. They stopped all literature. I forget who, I think it was Lukashenko. No, it wasn't Lukashenko. They've all got like fucking more or less the same names. But anyway, the puppet who first came president of Ukraine after being put in by America, he came out, and it was a terrible quote what he came out with. He said, our children, meaning, Kiev and surrounding areas, will be sitting at desks in the schools while the children of the Donbass will be hiding in fear in cellars. Think about that. And as I said, he was going and you've got to stop this, and they took no notice. They really thought that Ukraine could take on Russia. Big mistake. And that's why they went in 2022, February. Then they had a big agreement to stop, and, even Putin said. Now, people think as well, Franco, that Russia said they could take it in 3 days, Kiev. They were outside Kiev. They were. And when the deal came up that it was okay, they were going to sign a peace deal. And the Russians called them back. And it was that General Milley said they were there. They said that they'd take it within 3 days, and they took his word for it. And it wasn't like that at all. They were already outside Kiev, ready to take it, until they got the call that they were going to sign a peace deal. Then Boris Johnson, they moved then. Then Boris Johnson came over under the orders of Biden, the geriatric, Biden, and to stop the deal. Hence, you've still got the war going today. And all the propaganda that goes with it. So you see, it's not as clean cut as you think. But you've got to look at Putin, the way he's kept everybody together. You've only got to look at the leaders of the West. You've got France now. They hate, and I don't like that word terminology. I just don't like it, but they've got the hate for Macron. They can't wait to see the back of him. They can't wait. You've got the likes of Germany. And he was fucking thrown out. All Europe thrown out. Even the Italian, he was thrown out. And little lovely Giorgia Meloni came in. You've got Sanchez now today in Spain, and Trump fucking hates him for it. He said, you're not fucking using our airfields to take off to Iran. Sanchez, president of Spain. And he said, well, we're going to take NATO out. Don't fucking take them out. We're not fucking bothered about them. So you see, you've got countries and people who stand up. You had Orban, Hungary, who stood up to them. But it was corruption within the EU who got rid of Orban. All right, there was an election coming up, but then they had an election in Romania where a fella, who didn't want any war and didn't want to give Zelensky any money, a fella named Georgescu, and the EU fucking cancelled the election. What right did they have? And you're talking about democracy. What democracy? Puppets now in Romania. It's shocking what goes on. So you've got leaders all gone, and who's still in power? Putin. The people love him, Franco. As I said, 84% of people love him. And if you've ever heard of a fella named Navalny, the way the West both built him up, he's the new leader, and he's dead now anyway. And it was comical. This American television news channel went around, and around Russia saying, do you know, because he was living in I think his wife is still in America. I forget now. I don't know whether he was still in America. He was, and they gave him CIA gave him $14 million to go around Russia, getting his little party together. So anyway, they were going around Russia saying about Navalny. No one fucking knew him. And it was less than 2% of people who knew him. Less than Russia. Hundreds of millions of people. Less than 2% knew him. Never has a clue who he was. And them news reports, they was leaked out because he wasn't going to show it. No one knew him. Now the Americans are going on about Navalny being his wife, that is, his widow, being the next president of Russia. No one fucking knows it. It's like Mercado of Venezuela, who got the Nobel Peace Prize, which he should never have done, because how can you give a peace prize to somebody who begged Donald Trump to go and bomb Venezuela, their own country? And if you bomb anywhere, people are going to be killed. How could she get a fucking peace prize? Come on. Now, when all this is over, did you hear what he fucking said as well? Trump. We've got their gold. We've got their oil. We're going to be all right. He only said that yesterday or the day before, Trump. Because he went into Venezuela, kidnapped the president, Maduro, and Maduro's wife. And they're in fucking jail now. He's on trial now. Trial? What for? All trumped up charges. That's how bad Trump is. That's how bad America is. Nobody said anything about that operation. And he's boasting, we've got all the oil. We've got the oil. Because believe it or not, it's an incredible oil country. An incredible oil country. It's the biggest in North and South America. The States and South America as well. And Mercado, what's she? What kind of religion is Mercado? Because she will become president. That's a nap. That's a foregone conclusion now. And you've got to ask what. I'm not saying what it is. What religion is she? It's the same as Mealy. And it's the same as Mealy as Argentina. What kind of religion is he? And you've got other pockets now of them trying to take over different countries, the likes of Chile, the likes of Peru. So you've got all these other South American countries, and there's a lot of them, the likes of Mexico. the likes of Colombia. You've got them all. Brazil. But Brazil is a part of BRICS. I'm not going in about BRICS. Look it up yourself. Oh, Marie Morgan. Hiya, Frank. Hiya, Marie. Oh, Marie used to be one of my mature students. Used to have a cup of tea together. But I think Maria used to have coffee. Coffee girl she was. Lovely girl. Hope you're well, Marie. I really do. Hope you're well, sweetheart. And Mike Davidson says blue and white. Hello, blue and white. I hate that word. I won't come out with it. Big question, Frank. What will you be looking for from Liverpool in the watch along, says Cedric? What will I be watching? What will I be looking for? I'll be looking to see what tactics we'll have to get used to. That's what I'll be looking for, Cedric. And if any of these new lads are playing, I don't think Giovanni Leone, who I think is great, by the way. I don't think he'll be playing. I think he'll be getting up to fitness because of that big long injury, but he is fit, if you know what I mean. You might see him, I don't know. Xhaka, if he's going to play him as well. I'll look forward to seeing him. And see how, I don't think he has, but see if Mamadashvili has improved, because he will be playing. But you'll see a lot of, new faces that I wouldn't even know of. And Barry says, I believe our games are on ESPN. Oh, go away. Do you mean you don't put everything? You know, you could be talking about the Premier League. You could be talking about the Champions League. You could be talking about, the League Cup or the Caribbean Cup. I don't know what you're talking about. So if you say the pre-season, I'd understand. Or if you said the Premiership, I'd understand. Because I know that we are on ESPN on all other games, the Premiership, Caribou Cup. And my David, a man pretending to have a womb is the strangest to happen to straight men. Straight people's lives matter. That's a crack at that, because I'm not being funny. When I was married, I went down to, I'm going back years ago. I think it was in the early 90s. I think it was, it was the 90s. And I was in the Lisbon, in Dale Street, not Dale Street, Victoria Street. And I went down there because she said, my mate's behind the bar, do you fancy going in? And I said, yeah. She said, I'll just have words with her because we haven't seen her for a while. And then we'll get off. I said, okay. So I'm standing there. And she goes over talking to her mate. And it was like a little shelf. And I was drinking a bottle of beer. That's all I drink, bottles of beer. So anyway, and I was wanting to pee. So I put my bottle down, went in the men's loo, because right facing you had the ladies and you had the gents. And I walked in the gents, and I was having a pee at the urinal that we use. And in walks, I got the shock of my life on two things. One, this thing came in, long hair, makeup, and I looked tall, tall as me, it looked. And she had a dress on. And she lifted up her dress and had a pee. It was a fella. And I'll never forget it. I had a very light grey suit on. A very light grey suit on. And I got a shock and went back. And fucking pee went all over me. On a light grey suit. And I walked out. And that fucking sickened me, that. And I've got a lovely granddaughter. I don't want to see any of that fucking carry on going on in toilets or anything when she gets a little bit older. I remember taking, she was about 6, and I always used to take her over weekends, Saturday, Sunday, whatever. Taking Sophia down into town, I always bought, she always loved Mackey's, and she just loved the chicken nuggets, that's all. So we used to buy her chicken nuggets and a Coke or a milkshake. And never forget it. Yeah, we were in there, and anyway, we finished. And she said, I need to go to the toilet. I said, okay. So I brought her upstairs, and there was 2 girls. And I said, could you do me a favour? Would you just see that she's no problem? And they did, So she came out. And what I was thinking of was that time in the Lisbon and like what was going on today. I didn't want to see a fella go into it, you know what I mean? I just didn't. But that's me. And Mike says, IRA bombed the English a lot. They did, Mike. They did. I remember them. It was a coach. There was a coach going, I think it was going, Catterbridge. And they blew that up. And I always remember them blowing up horses. And it was a band. See, they always target the military and big shops. I remember them being in Harrods, and they always gave a warning to get out. But we all know about that. And Mike says, self-help killed by an illegal justice for those innocent children. They reckon that he wasn't, though, that he was actually born here, but they reckon that the dad was involved in genocide back in Rwanda. That's why they brought him over here. You don't know what to believe now. Barry said, sorry, Frank, I'll shut up. I'll behave yourself. And Mike says, Islamic Revolution, 1979. You're getting it now, I'm afraid. And Dennis, all from Nashville. Now, you know why he's there, don't you? You know why Dennis is there? Because he's watching the game tomorrow. He's a big Redders, Dennis. So we have Romania, we have South Africa, and we have America. Tampa. He's from Tampa, Florida. and he's brought his son up to Nashville, because he's a Liverpool fan as well, to watch the pre-season against Sunderland tomorrow. Isn't that great? And Barry says, even in tennis, I'm jealous of you going to the game. So, aren't we all? Aren't we all? And Dennis says, looking forward to meeting Ian Rush later today. I have a great week. Have a great weekend, folks. You too. You too, Dennis. You're a good man. Big up, Dennis. As Yadders was talking about you yesterday, he came down to see me. So as Yadders was talking about you, Dennis. Cedric says, good answer, me too. I don't know much about Xhaka. In fact, nothing. I don't know myself. I haven't a clue. Neither Munoz, to be honest. The only thing I've seen of him was when he was playing for Real Madrid's reserves. And he's doing all right, you know what I mean? And you've got to ask yourself, why would they want to sell, if he's that good, to Osasuna? And why not keep him? Or, you know, when Liverpool went after him, I said, whoa, hang on, mate. No, he's not going there. We'll have him back. Think about it. And Mike David, hi Frank, those nonsense are dangerous, mate. The ones with blue hair, trans lives matter, banners, the unwashed. Trans lives matter. By slot you mentally what? Maybe he is there, I don't know. Stephen Coughlin. Good evening, Frank, and fellow chatters. Hope everyone is well. They're all right. And Mulholland, Steve Mulholland. Burnham has appointed the same psychopaths, warmongers, Russophobes in his cabinet. Yes, he has. And only one isn't a friend of the tiny hats. Some of his current proposals are just sticking plasters. Yes. Yes. And Mike says, Northern Irish stroke Scouse. Steve Mulholland, John Haley, he's a fucker. I was watching Alex Christoforou, and he was talking about Ely, and I laughed my head off. And he called him Nosferatu. He said, if you've ever seen a silent film going back to the 20s, Nosferatu, that's John Ely. It's like him. And he will increase the spending. He will. And we're going to give billions to Zelensky and Ukraine. We're going to give them it. While there's 4.5 million children below the poverty line, and it's going up. It's going up. And Stephen says, Xhaka has big shoes to fill, taking Konate's share number 5 for a young central defender. Yep. He has. Excuse me a minute. Don't know whether to give me hair a brush or what. What do you reckon? Comb me hair. As Yerrick gave me I was talking to Yerrick today, and he said, his wife, that there's I shows him the list, of the dentist yesterday when he was down. I said, that's how much it's going to cost me. And he said, fuck that. He said, just stay the way you're at. I said, I can't go around like that. I said, I can't do it. Not that I'm vain or anything. So anyway, he goes on, he's telling her, his wife. And she went to this dentist. And she said, Francis, it'll cost less than £100. So I said to him, send me the number down. He said, have you got a pen? I said, I'm lying in bed. It's the smaller. I said, I'm lying. He said, I'll give you the ring in an hour. I said, okay. Never rang me with the number, so I couldn't ring up. Oh, for fuck's sake. Sorry to swear. Mike Davis says, I've always found a double barrel solves most situations. It depends on what double barrel you're talking about. Burnham says benefit cuts are coming soon. Well, that's it, Stephen. This is what he's all about. Who's more important? Zelensky and Ukraine. Don't forget Zelensky's got his own bank. He can fucking lend himself billions instead of asking for billions because he's fucking ciphered it off. Or us. Zelensky or us. Ukraine or us. But he's a puppet anyway. You could tell that. And Mike says, Fabian Society, much about that, Frank. Labour from front bench stuff, secret stuff. I know a lot. He used to be a colleague of mine. And he said to me one day, he said, you fancy joining it or going down and listening to it? I said, no. The Fabian Society. Great fella, this lad, though. And the last time I seen him, I said, still in with the Fabians? He said, no. Stephen says, it will be business as usual under a Labour government as there will be no change. So same old crap. Yes. We all knew that, those Stephen, didn't we? We all knew that. I've seen videos circulating of Starmer bouncing on Zelensky's lap bum juice, but it's a rent boy. There'd be memes about that. Memes, lots of them. And it's criminal for a Liverpool team to start pre-season with not many signings to show off. So we need signings. So where's the money, John the Scrooge Henry? And Mike says, get hitting the likes for this great guy. He's one of our own. Thank you, Frank. Oh, thank you, Mike. Thank you. see, I don't think anyone. I've been called for everything, to be honest, haven't I? Really, like that lad who's pretended to be a Scouse, and when I mentioned about Mo Salah, and I said I put him in my top 3 of all-time greats. I said I go back to the Shankly era. I said a very good friend of mine was Ian St. John. I said, a lovely man. I said, but he's not even in the top 3. And what did he call me? A clown, and told me to fuck off. And we found out where Scouse John was, or what he was. St. Helens. Not a Scouser. I'm sorry, doesn't qualify. Doesn't qualify to be a Scouser. St. Helens. And Stephen Coughlin, we have been here before, so can't see much transfer activity as we have been linked. It's, too many players, but still no movement. I'm scratching my head in disbelief. It's Dire Street. They were great, that group. I loved the Dire Street. Money for nothing. How appropriate. And Barry said, why do we give so much money in aid, Barry, to other countries, especially Ukraine, when charity should be getting it up? Well, we know that it's a big laundromat, isn't it, Ukraine? It goes in, and it's being laundered, all the money, and it comes out all nice and clean, back to the people who's put it in. That's why it's so corrupt. So they're all taking shares. They're all taking shares when that money goes in. And it's out there. Come on. Did you ever see the golden toilet? That's a real gold, pure gold. Golden toilet, that is. That's Zelensky's got. It doesn't get used, but it's a real golden toilet. How much is that worth? Fucking big everything. Proper sized toilet. All carved, lovely. So how much is that worth? How could he afford a bank to buy it outright in France? Think about that. And we're giving them money. They know all about it. That's the problem. They know. But they go along with a certain narrative that comes straight out of Hollywood, that goes to the White House, that comes out. Follow this. This is what you've got to talk about. And that's the way it is, ladies and gentlemen. It's the way it is. Mr. B. Hey, Mr. B. Even in Frank and chat, even in Mr. B, you'll never walk alone. Hashtag 97. Thank you for that. Thank you so much for that. And Mr. B, get Ukraine to fuck, yes. Charity starts at home, says Mr. B. Yeah, you've only got to look at the state of the country. Now, I can only go back to the 80s when I tell you this. The Cold War, just as the Cold War was coming to an end in '89. But there's always been going on, they say, oh, it's ended now, the Cold War. No, it hasn't. It's still going on. But, nevertheless, let's say '89. And I was looking at the blackest places if a nuclear war had started. And in this country, the blackest place. Now, the likes of Berlin was the blackest place, right? In Germany. Paris was the blackest place. France. And I would guess where the blackest place was in the UK. And Stephen says, Stephen Coughlin, that is, we're all right sending billions to other nations, and we can't even sort our people who can't make ends meet with poverty on the increase. It's bad news. Yes, of course it's bad news. When I fucking think of it, it's shocking. It really is. I think of kids. I love. You can't even say I love kids anymore, can you? It's inappropriate. But when you see kids, and I look at the poor kids in Gaza, Jesus. When I see them, it kills me. But when and I go to this country, and I'm not in education anymore, but I'm still in touch with a few teachers, and I know a couple of girls who, teachers in secondary schools, and they go and they buy chocolate bars and soft drinks. They know exactly how many to buy. And they go in and give them to the kids who need them because they've come out without any breakfast. That's how bad it is. And they're still doing it today. Mr. B. I've seen the silver toilet. Il Dickinson's, it's called. Steve Mulholland says, I've seen that Trump. Oh, sorry, people. I've seen that Trump criticised Paul McCartney because he doesn't like, and said the Beatles are liked by all the media and they are a hoax. Trump said, make rock and roll great again. Yeah, he did. He called them four talentless fellas. That's what Trump's like. Now, if McCartney said, Trump's great, the Beatles, love the Beatles, that's what it would have been. That's how kind of a fucking fella he is. Trump, excuse me. That's for you, lot. Is that any better? I thought we paid money to keep them in their own countries. Oh well, that's right. It's there are things that could be said, which is true, and then we'd all be called racists because there's a label for everyone now. I could have been called there a homophobic or transphobic, whatever it is. See what I mean? There's a label for everything, and that's what you call control. It's control. No matter how you look, no matter how you look at it, it's control. Do you know what? I played this back, and just bear with me a minute. Oh, I can't fucking do it. Can't do it. See, I know that I'm a little bit blurry. I don't know how it works, like. I shouldn't have been. I should have got Jason to fucking do all that. I haven't a clue. Does anybody here remember Davy Hickson? Got a fucking head like Davy Hickson. But you're right, say we do send for aid, and that's what it's all about. Aid. The unfortunate thing is, we don't send money. Well, we still send money, but they're coming over here, and for fuck's sake, I'm awfully sorry about this, people. Sorry to swear. Ladies, if you're looking in. I know I'm out of focus. Sorry, I can't do it. And Barry says, how much cash is available for any given government after an election, Frank? Because whatever it says, there's always enough for others. Bang on. Bang on. So right. So right. But never enough for us. Never enough for them children who go to school without breakfasts. I've just seen a cracker there. Amazon may be delivering new players the next day to our field soon, says the copper. You can't make these things up, can you? We don't want that Bezos, though. Please, please, let's not sell to more Americans. It's horrible. Hello, Frank and chat. Hello, Phil. I think Phil's been on his holidays. He's been on his yacht. And Mr. B says, the blackest place I've seen is Bradford. Yeah, it's always been like that for many, many years. Be careful what we're saying, Get fucking done. And Stephen says, Angela Rayner, the ginger growler, has been urged to pay 17k back after being a tax dodger. It's unbelievable, Frank. Yeah, and she wanted a challenge for the leadership, but that's shocking. That whether she's a tax dodger, she had the right to stand, but there was no, there was nothing. There was no one standing to be a leader, And that's the first time I've ever known that to happen. So we all know that Burnham is a puppet to follow the line that Starmer was following, that Rishi Sunak was following. They all were, every fucking one of them. All the prime ministers in the past 10 years. Liz Truss. Do you ever remember she was on, it was before she became prime minister, she was battling it out, and the interviewer said, would you press the button? And she said, yeah. Yeah. Don't need people like that in government. We need them hard, but we don't need fucking loonies. Phil, what's happening, lads? Says Mr. B. All good, Mr. B. Been busy the last few weeks. Oh, good. Good. And Barry says, Stephen, that's Rich. That's Rich saying the Beatles were a hoax coming from the biggest hoax since mankind began. Yeah. That's what he said. He said a lot more, you know. It was a social post. And he said loads more about the Beatles. It was like that fella, remember the other night when I was doing a football show? The first one on Tuesday. And he just came on and said Steven Gerrard's was rubbish, end of. That's, you know. And we all found out who he was. And he came on again last night. And he said it again. Steven Gerrard's was rubbish. So, just like him. Stephen, looking forward to another famous win at the Hill Dickinson Stadium, like we did when Big Verge scored the winner. Yes. And that'll go down in history, though. And that's a lot worse than anything could have been inflicted on Everton. The first derby against Liverpool. The first derby at the Hill Stadium. Hill Dickinson. And they were beaten. Much better done, Franchioli. Cedric still on point. Say Cedric. And Mr. B. Jimmy Savile gets a bad name, but he's done wonders for the hospital. Oh. He was a necrophiliac, you know. You know, that's why he used to go to the hospitals. He used to love going into the mortuary. True, that. And Stephen says, Stephen Coughlin, that is, it was Klopp's Germany press conference today, and he looked drained, talking German in today's press conference. I was wishing him all the success as German. He really get them better than what they are. Phil says 1 billion per month to Zelensky. That's for the next 100 years, but they're giving him more. I think it's either 2 or 3.5 billion we're giving him now. And Stephen says Zelensky's a fraud and robbing a living. Of course he is. Of course he is. And Phil says to stay. I just posted some facts about Ukraine. It looks like YouTube blocked it. There you go. I've got to be careful, you see. Me. I think that's why I'm stuck on the same number, of subscribers. My foot's itchy. Mr. B, get smashing the likes. Thank you, Mr. B. And Stephen Coughlin, Zelensky cries wolf every time. But okay, taking our money, it's unforgivable. Good shout. And Phil says there is no historical link between UK and Ukraine. Nothing. Either countries in Europe, by the way. Poland hated Ukraine with a vengeance. And it was all because of the Banderites. And they never fucking said anything until they dug up Bandera and that what's his name? Bandera, murdered hundreds of thousands of people, Ukrainians, and also so did this fella, forget his name. And he killed hundreds of thousands. And they're going to be buried side by side. Not only that, but they're going to build a mausoleum for them. The fucking Russians will bomb that up. They won't allow that. And Phil says there was no trade between the countries. The government's website states. No, there wasn't. I was watching a fella named, what was his name? Joe Giles. I fucking hate this. Just watching him. Let me explain. Joe Giles, and he's going around the country saying about dark histories of cities. And this is on YouTube. And it's at Liverpool, so I clicked on it, and he's going on about load of crap. It was a short, one of them shorts on YouTube. So anyway, I clicked on it, and you see him walking. He's walking past the Maritime Museum. And he's saying, the dark history is that Liverpool and the Albert Dock, mentions the Albert Dock. This is fucking arsehole stuff. That's fucking you, man. And he said, Liverpool were trading with sugar and all this. Even timber. And he said, but they also had the dark history. And he mentioned the Liverpool merchants in 1699. He said, and it sailed from here, the Albert Dock. This is in Liverpool, with 220 slaves on board to be sold. What's wrong with that? What I've just said. He said the Liverpool merchant, 1699, with 220 slaves on board, sailed from here at the Albert Dock to be sold. He said to sell human beings. What's wrong with that? Anything. I'll let you sell me. If you can't get it, I'll tell you. £11 kick-off tomorrow for Sunderland. Let's go, Reds. You'll never walk alone. And Phil says, if they want to fight Russia, let them get on with it. The establishment West, in brackets, need the Russian resources. Of course they do. I've been saying it all the time, Phil. You're so right. They want it. Won't fucking get it, though. And Mr. B says Klopp came across negative, not like his usual setup. I don't think he wanted to become Liverpool manager. But we went for the other, Areola. And Barry says, I think, hang on, I'll mention it. I think the block with Klopp was Edwards. And as soon as Areola came, Edwards said, that's it. He's here, he's not going to be sacked now. Klopp's not going to get the job. And that's why he walked away. You know, to say, oh, well, it's no use me just coming out and serving me next month or two. My contract out, I might as well leave now. Should have took fucking years with him as well. But that's my take on it. And Barry says to Stephen, Ginger Growler, that's so funny. Almost as funny as getting the housing minister's job after their housing escapade. It's the irony, isn't it? 14 likes, 27 watching, says Mr. B. But out of those 27 watching, the good people. That's all. We've only got a very small audience. Oh, that's offers a national statistics. And Barry says, no slaves here, Frank. Yes. Yes. Indeed. Indeed. And Stephen said, we need a performance from Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz this season after the disaster start to their Liverpool career. Yes. Hopefully, we will see the best of them. Yes. Got to give Areola the benefit of the doubt. And Phil says, Mr. B watched the Klopp interview. He is amazing to me. He told the German press their birthdays. And Mr. B says, Klopp is a legend, Phil, of course. Right, it's about getting back to the slave trade. When he mentioned the Albert Dock. Now, the Albert Dock, as we all know, the slave trade ended, didn't it? Ended at 1807. The Albert Dock was built and opened up in 1846. And he's saying they all left here. Never done any research, did he? But the only fucking thing I can think of is what happened. Remember, I was only talking the other night. I'm sorry to go on about this. And I was talking the other night about, was it on here? Was it talking to someone? I forget who was talking. I don't know what it was. Anyway, I was standing behind a big pillar at the Albert Dock, standing behind it, you know, because I was waiting for a group of people. I had to take them around. And they were 11 astrophysicists, by the way. I was asked to take them out. Yeah, okay. So anyway, I was listening to this girl talking to these people outside. You know, they were from... this is the problem with Liverpool, unfortunately. they were from, all over the country. I don't know where they were from, being honest. And this woman was saying, oh, yes, and she was at the old, as I said, it was behind the big red pillar. And she was, no one seeing me, I was just standing there, just listening. And there were the rings that are on the floor, the Albert Dock, the dock itself, the water. She said, when the ships come in, this is where, the ships were tied up, but also the slaves when they were taken off board. Just put my head down. Fucking hell. But she was going on and on and on. And I said, I've got to stop this. Because these are outsiders, these people. I don't know where the fucking girl was from, by the way. She was so... I don't think she was from here. That fucking Joe Giles wasn't from here, by the way. He's a Londoner. Whose thing I seen on YouTube today. Anyway, I just went around. I said, excuse me. I said, why are you telling the good people here that slaves were tied up on these rings here? And she just looked at me. And I said, excuse me, people. I'm a historian. I said, and this is wrong. I said, you see this Albert Dock? Wasn't even here during the slave trade. In fact, it was built 39 years later. And it opened up. As it started to be built, it opened up in 1846. And these rings were for ships only, tying them. Slave trade ended. The slave trade was gone. It was gone in 1807. We ended the slave trade. And this woman, she was just looking, she was just looking. And someone just shouted, oh, is that true? And she wouldn't answer. I said, it is true. I said, in fact, no slaves landed in Liverpool. I said, I spent 4 years studying the slave trade. And I studied every ship that came in. And there's no one who can tell you the name of a ship or the decade that landed here with slaves on board, because there wasn't. It wasn't economically viable. If they would have had to cross the North Atlantic to get here from West Africa, all the warm waters and the trade winds and the currents going up to the North Atlantic, where there was ice fields, they had to cross ice fields. They were living in, or they were held up, and they were in there for months in leaky ships, given scraps to eat. Do you think for one moment that any of them would have lived? They were all naked, crossing ice fields. They would have all been dead of hypothermia. And they were a commodity, unfortunately, these poor wretched people. They were a commodity, and they were sold as a commodity, but not with money. No money exchanged. It was only goods that was exchanged, that were put on the ships to be brought to Liverpool and Bristol and Newcastle and Glasgow and London, everywhere, everywhere, not just Liverpool. So Joe Giles, try and look him up, fucking arsehole. And he was going on about, I never listened to the Glasgow, because the little title was, what's wrong with Glasgow? What's going on with Glasgow? I thought, I'm not fucking looking at that, because Glaswegians are fucking iffies bad about them, like us, giving fucking people the wrong information, like that woman giving the wrong information to groups of people. I said, so don't believe it. It's a load of nonsense. Klopp asking for privacy for the family. But you know what? He never ever asked us, did he? He never ever said, privacy for the family, because everybody knew Ule and the kids. And he knew that he was safe here. But now he's saying privacy. I'm made up with him. And Stephen Coughlin says John W. Henry has a lot to answer to the Scrooge after years of sell to buy policy. You'll never walk alone. Yes. Mr. B says his family. Privacy for his family. Yeah, Mr. B. And Phil says, Frank, I was furious watching any Burnham first day at number 10 and a fucking blue and yellow flag at the top of number 10. Council ripping down Union Jack and St. George flags. Hypocrisy is the political class. Yes. You can't have St. George's flag. The English flag, you can't have that. But you can have a fucking Ukrainian flag. What the fuck's that all about? Fucking burning. Fuck. And Phil says, I don't have a Union Jack or any other flag apart from LFC. Up the hypocrisy is, yes. Of course it's madness. The fucking flag. Ukrainian flag. He's been told to put that up, Put that up, yeah. And Cedric says, no one can argue with Frank. But that Joe Giles was fucking told, But it's to come out and say that. He must have been told that. He never fucking looked us up. I've never seen anything at all about the Liverpool merchant bringing slaves over from here, from the Albert Dock. Never had anything. He's been told that. And he's gone, I'll say that. Phil says, fair play to Frank. What he knows. Thank you. Cedric says, yep. Thank you, boys. Thank you. And Stephen Jurgen Klopp was sadly drained because of John Henry BS with the lack of transfer funds and players he wanted when he was a manager. There's more to it than that, though, Stephen. Honestly, mate, more to it. It was to get him out. That's why Edwards left, and all of a sudden he came back, told not to take another job. Think about it. Man United went in for him. He said, do you want to come here? Do you want a job here? Man United. So Edwards, and he said no. So what does that tell you? Then 2 years later, he was back. Soon as he came through the fucking door, Klopp said, I'm leaving. And that's why Trent left. Because he's seen... I was listening to Kevin Keegan talking about Bill Shankly. He said he was like a dad to me. And I said to Karen Gill, who's Shankly's granddaughter, I said to her, your granddad was like a dad to us all. And she said, that's lovely. I said, he was. So you can imagine, I'm talking about Trent. He was nurtured from the age of 6 years of age. 6. Through the academy. And he was told that he'd play for England and he'd be captain of Liverpool Football Club, his boyhood club. And then all of a sudden, at the start of the season, he said, I'm going. Klopp said, because of Edwards. And you're right there, Stephen, he was on a shoestring budget. I've said it loads and loads of times. What he won on a shoestring budget. He wouldn't get it. He once, a few seasons, he never got a penny to strengthen the side. And not only that, remember the old saying with Cable, the war chest for the summer. Remember that? What fucking war chest? Did we ever have a war chest? No. And Barry says, you never know. Klopp may return one day. Fingers crossed. Safe, Barry. And Phil says, Frank, sorry to ask, but as all systems go for Europe, I haven't, I think I've got all the stuff in, Phil, I've got the stuff, I've got to wash for 3 days in this stuff. I'm not supposed to take a certain tablet for a week. And that's the most worrying thing for me. And I can't take it. It's like I'm terrified of blood clots. I'm being honest, I'm fucking terrified because I won't be able to take these for a week. My blood thinners. And it really is worrying me. I'm being honest. I'm not all this fucking brave, bravado sort of thing. It's really worrying me. So, but I've got to do it because I'm hopeless. I'm really hapless. I can't walk down the I was watching the telly today, just watching it. And I was watching streaming some places, and you just see people walking about. And that's what I did. I walked about. I showed people around Liverpool. I got up on the stage and gave fucking talks. I can't even stand for more than 10 minutes. I'm helpless, honest. And it really gets me. Haven't you ever noticed when on a Monday when Jason throws up a video, I won't watch it because you see me walking about, and it really gets me down because I was so active. And look at me now. I'm not feeling sorry for myself. Please don't. The thing is, you just think of those things, and then you think of this operation. And I haven't got to take a tablet for a week. And that's the most important tablet I have to take. And I'm really worried about it. But I've got to get it. I've got to do it. I've got to get it done. I've got to get this operation, to try and give me a little bit of quality of life. So I can walk down the shops. I'll be made up if I can walk to the shops. That's all. And Mr. B says the concept that slavery grew out of racism is far from the truth, of course. Unfortunately, people were enslaved because of their vulnerability and not because of how they looked or do you know what? That's a cracker at Mr. B. Look, what people don't realise, you've got to look at Ireland. And for years, let's go back to Cromwell. Even before, there's a fella by the name, and you're talking 1566 here, and a fella by the name of Sir Humphrey Gilbert, and he went over to Ireland to kill everyone. He wanted to use Ireland as a stepping stone to get to America to see how the indigenous native would take to them. So he went over, scorched the land, killed fucking hundreds of thousands because of the famine. But followed. You don't hear about that. Then there was another famine. And this is all English, 1727. Hundreds of thousands died. 1729, another famine. Same. Thousands died. 1740, thousands again died. These are famines. 1800s, oh yeah, look at that. Thousands died. All English made. And the final one was in 1845 with the potato famine. It was to get rid of the Irish. It was genocide on a massive scale. Cromwell wanted to do it. Cromwell. Prick him and his model army. Let's make a republic. Yeah, okay, fuck off. Cromwell. Fucking hell. People might like Cromwell, I don't know, but I fucking hate him. Genocide. Genocide. Yeah, so unfortunately people were enslaved because of their vulnerability and not because of how they look or race. That's brilliant, that, because what they were doing as well, when they were opening up the colonies, especially in America, what you see when you get an image of cotton pickers. I'm going to jump down, turn around, pick your bailey cut. What does that remind you of? Well, it reminds you of the slaves picking the cotton. There was fucking whites as well. And who were the whites? The Irish. The indentured servitude. The Irish were sent over. And when they talk about people being like here in Liverpool in chains, 3 sets of people were. And I'll give you them. Ordinary prisoners, right? Ordinary prisoners, 1. 2, French prisoners of war, and the third were the Irish being transported on the ships to be sent over to America for indentured servitude. Now, the difference between indentured servitude was that slaves, the black slaves of Africa, when, they just did it. They just was there to fucking survive, to pick, got nothing, got fed. But that's about it. The indentured servitude, the Irish, they were actually paid an annual fee of about sixpence in a year, picking the cotton. And other laboured work as well, not just the cotton. And it wasn't just the blacks, the Africans, the slaves that were picking cotton. They went into his other work as well. It was fucking shocking to dehumanize people like that. And the Irish were dehumanized. And who went into workhouses here? Hey, who went into work? Whites. Right? That's all was here. They went into the workhouses and they were put into fucking slavery as well. What did they do? To feed themselves, to get fed in workhouses where the food and the water were inadequate. Inadequate. They were sent out to build. They were all the labourers. People in the workhouse. That's why it was called work. You had to fucking work. House. Workhouse. Remember Scrooge? Aren't the workhouses in full force? Of course they are, sir. What are you worried for? Why did he need money? Oh, dear. The ordinary one, says Barry. Klopp. Yes. And Mr. B, the people of the Balkans were enslaved by fellow Europeans as well as by the people of the Middle East at least 6 centuries before the first African was brought to the Western Hemisphere. Did you know that the Arabs used to come around to Cornwall and raid the villages and drag the people off to slavery? Does anybody know that? Well, if you didn't know, you know now. During the 1600s. Yep. There's a fella named John Smith. He's one of my heroes, actually. And the Americans made a film, animation, cartoon, and it was about Pocahontas. So they went, we can't fucking do it, John Walton, because John Walton asked Powhatan, the father, big chief, Powhatan, for his daughter's hands, which was Pocahontas. And that was the very first mixed marriage, as they call it, in the world. So he said, okay, I'll give you the hands of my daughter, Pocahontas. But in the animation, now John Walton was a tobacco merchant. He grew tobacco. And why he wanted, see, if you grow tobacco, that land is no good. You can't grow it again. I don't know whether you're aware of that. So he wanted other land, and he didn't want to fucking buy it. So he said, if I marry her, Pocahontas, as a dowry, he'll give me land, Powhatan, the chief. No. So anyway, that's why he asked, can I marry you? And he went, yeah, all right. Just like that. So he married her. But in the animated thing, he was just an ordinary fucking fella, John Bolton. Nothing great about him, just grew tobacco. That's all he did. So to get the film, the animation, the cartoon thing, up and running, oh, we'll have to marry John Smith, a great warrior. Oh yeah, that'll be great. Because John Smith, read about him, it's unbelievable. And did you know that he was captured by Arabs and put into slavery? And he escaped. What a fucking story he's got. John Smith. And no one has ever heard of him, only me. And some divvies, Americans saying, yeah, Pocahontas married him. Yeah. John Smith, great. Fuck off. So you're right there, Mr. B. Smashing. And Phil says, seen a video about the slave trade. Ottoman Empire, millions of Slavic people and Irish stolen, worked until they died. The word slave from Slav. Spot on. You've only got to look at the Second World War, haven't you? And you think that it was Jews, just the Jews who were being, put to work. It wasn't. As you said, Slavs. There wasn't just the Jews that put into slave work. Slave labour. What day are you going in? We're all here for you in any way whatsoever. Oh, thank you, Mr. B. Honestly, honest to God, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I just don't know. I'm just waiting for the call. Could be anything. I reckon it'll be a week before. So I will let you know. A week before I'm supposed to go in. And I think it'll be around the middle of August, to be honest. And I won't be able to speak, he said, for 6 weeks. 6 weeks. You'll be all right. And Phil says, Frank, after the op, you'll be walking like a guardsman. Just going down the shop. Lots of, it sounds mad, doesn't it? Just to walk to a shop and buy a loaf or something, bottle of milk. And the poet, they know when they know what they are doing, Frank. They wouldn't ask you to stop talking. Taking those tablets, I'm sorry, they're taking those tablets if it was really dodgy. Understand your fears, don't we? We'd be no different if we weren't in your shit. Yes, thank you for that, poet. Thank you, mate. I know that you all wish me well. I do know that because you're good people. I've only got a small, people. I don't mean in stature, like the group. And you're all genuine and intelligent. Whether it's about football, because, you're football fans. whether it's about films, oh, I've got 2 films to tell you to watch. I nearly forgot them. I was only looking at Cedric there, you see, the star of Hollywood. You've got to watch these films. I streamed Doc Holliday. Doc Holliday, and it's brilliant. I've seen it before, and I did laugh, So I said, I think I'll stream this, and I'll put it up. Fucking dead funny, really funny. I was laughing my little head off. And then the other one I got on YouTube. I seen it. Oh, I'm gonna watch this. And I pinged it, and it was My Stepmother's an Alien. And it was Dan Aykroyd. He's brilliant, funny. It's so funny. My Stepmother's an Alien. Kim Basinger. Watch it. Watch them 2. Please, Doc Holliday. Doc Holliday. And you see how he is now. And you know who I'm talking about. And how he was then. But remember the Back to the Future he was doing as well at the same time. And he did this Doc Hollywood. Not that funny. Watch it. Laugh at me head off. And the wonderful Dan Aykroyd. Brilliant. Really good. The 2 of them. I wish you all the luck for your operation, says Cedric. May you come back better than ever, with your hair still on point. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Cedric. Still on point. And the Freedoms, hiya Freedom, I'm seeing you for yonks. Hi Frank, I just joined. Which John were you talking about? John Smith. John Smith. Look him up. He was an owner of the West Virginia company during 1606, say. 1606. He became a partner in that. He didn't marry Pocahontas. A fellow named John Walton married her, not John Smith. Because Hollywood's, the way they change to give a different slant on history, they gave them John Smith, a great warrior. One of my heroes, by the way, John Smith. Really, honestly, look him up. Look him up, Freedom. I think you'll be very surprised. And Barry says, bloody hell, Frank, if you can't talk for 6 weeks, I'll give us a cheeky comment. Only joking, Frank. You're a top guy. What are you like? Give us the best. Most probably it will. And the T says, smash the lights, peeps. And Phil says, Frank, it's a good place here. And it's like, it's like having a chat in a pub. It is, you're so right. Learn stuff, lots of opinions, and the odd bit of football talk, the odd bit of football. No one can get away from it. Do you know what I wish? I just wish I could go away. Honestly. The girl who brought me my prescription yesterday, because I have to get it delivered, can't fucking go anywhere. And she's a lovely girl. And I said to her, are you taking any holidays this year? And she said, yes. I'm going on a cruise next week. And I'm going to visit Barcelona. I said, so are you going on a Mediterranean cruise? And she said, yes. I can't wait. I said, you're very lucky. Because that's the best. And my advice to you, as you get off at different ports, they'll have excursions to go into their cities and around. Go on them. Get to see the places. Thank you, Frank. Okay. Lovely. Lovely. Thanks for that, Phil. It is a good place to be with you lot. I'm great. And there was my hello, Frank and chat. How are you all been? Best on YouTube by far. Well done. Thing is, you missed it, Woodmaster. Had a cracking fella in before, and his wife. Really, really good. Should have seen what they were telling us. What's going to happen in Liverpool. Unbelievable. So you'll have to watch the start of the show. They're about 10 minutes into it when they come in. Fantastic. But I won't tell you what it was about. Just tune in. Watch it for about 10 minutes and you'll see them. Great couple. It's not Meghan Markle or Prince Harry, none of them. Hello, Frank and chat, how are you? All best. How are you all? Best on YouTube by far. Well done. Thank you. I'm going ONA. What's that? I'm going. See all these little abbreviations. I'm fucked with that, some of them. Took all my time with it as IMO. So what the fuck's that? IMO. That's in my opinion, isn't it? I found out. And another thing, when I'm reading comments, I was following these American trials and murders, and you read the comments, and they got a right pause, POS. I haven't a fucking clue what pause is. It's a person of whatever, I don't know. And the cop out, the Hickson haircut looks great. TV. Oh no, it's the great bombshell these days. Yeah. TV Hickson. I said to Davey, I had to give a talk, believe it or not, up at Goodison Park, going back a few years. And it was to get people to join, the colleges to take up history, local history. So I was up there, I was talking to Davey Hickson. I said, all right, Davey. And he went, hello. I said, I'm a Reds. I said, and he just fucking walked away. Ex-altar boy, honestly. Just didn't want to know about Liverpool. Well, yeah, all right, Dave. Fucking hell. I will personally take you for a meal anywhere in town when you get out of Aussie, Frank. Oh, thank you. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Really. The poet, the Blue Star. The Blue Star. And the master said, I'm going on a cruise in me narrow boat. First port, Stoke. Next stop, Garstang. All right, okay. You're coming here though, aren't you? You're going to get to Liverpool. Listen, boys and girls, it's nearly 9:30. And do you mind if I leave it now? So don't forget to watch along if you want to watch it tomorrow. It'll be about 10:30, not quite so sure. 10:15, because I've got to phone Jason and tell him that I'm having a watch along. Is that all right? If I leave you now? And my little granddaughter, I was talking to Francine before, and I said to her, she said, oh, what time's the match tomorrow? I said, 11 o'clock in the morning. I said, it's on the telly and that. And she just shouted over to Sophia, my granddaughter. I said, we'll be able to watch it on the train, Sophia. The match. So she was made up. Sophia was made up. Our little red. They're going down to London to see Bruno Mars, is it? Liverpool in September, roughly. You get off, Frank. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, Woodmaster, that'll be, honestly, come and see me, mate. Come and see me. Please come and see me. Poet, sound mate. See you on the watch along, Frank. Thank you, Barry. Thank you. Oh, the copite. And do you know what? The copite's only like, and he doesn't know that we do football shows. Try and watch those 2 films, please. Have a laugh. You know, we need a laugh, don't we? That's why I put them on. Doc Holiday. And the other one, what you mentioned, my stepmom's an alien. Fucking funny, you know. Thanks, Copeye, mate. Thank you. Good night, mate. Cheers, Frank. See you tomorrow for the watch along. Says the T. Thank you, T. And let's see, is the game at night? No, it's the afternoon, isn't it? We're about 7 hours ahead of them. Say like 7, kickoff's 11. So be like late afternoon, about 5 o'clock or something like that. The fucking weather over there, you know, it's hot. Tennessee, Nashville, hot there, hot fucking the States then. And the poet. Night, Frank and chat. Cheers, poet. I was going to mention you before about, you know, what we do. I'm going to start, honest to God, I'm going to start. I'd love people to join us, you know. And it's literature and art. You might think, literature and art, honest, it'll be great. It will. It will be fantastic. When you put it together, it's surprising, you know, honestly. And Barry says, you missed my comment directly after the meal comment today. Was that the Blue Star or something? I don't know. I can't get up. Sorry, mate. Sorry, Barry. And Stephen Cochran. Good night, God bless Frank and fellow chatters, and see you Monday for the history of Liverpool. You'll never walk alone. Peace out. Yes. See you, mate. And the Woodmaster says, up the Reds even if we are. It was like last season, wasn't it? Phil says, right, you're doing it again. This show's lasted, I know. I knew Ken, by the way. Honestly, I knew Ken. Gave me the greatest compliments ever. Ken Todd. As long as there's beans on and toast on the menu, fuck off. I don't mind beans on toast, though, you know. Let's be honest. I don't think everyone's had beans on toast. Crisp butties and everything. And so, up the Reds for tomorrow game against the Black Cats. You'll never walk alone, says Stephen Cochran. And I'll be a lone star. What a name that is. I'll be a lone star. We'll all be thinking about you and wishing you well, Frank, as well as looking forward to your return to YouTube. All the best. Mille grazie. Thank you. I haven't gone yet, though. I haven't gone yet. I've got to talk to Jason. Frank, kickoff was 11 p.m. Yeah, see. Our time. Yes. Ah, Maggie. Hi, Frank. Hi, Maggie. Oh, you missed it tonight, Maggie. Shame. I had Ricky Tomlinson here before. It's funny. Not that funny, Ricky. Pity, well, I would have said, this is Maggie, yeah. Young. Lovely lady, Vicky. Lovely lady. Barbara. Got a Maggie Young here. She's a lovely lady. Can't set up by Frank, you know, saying so. Sounds good, that, Frank. Lit and art. Thank you, Paul. Honestly. It'll be fantastic. I'm not just saying that. I'll never put myself in a predicament, you know. But it will. Imagine Leonardo da Vinci and William Blake and the Book of Tell. Oh, fucking hell. And on that note, I'm halfway through. Go away, because I heard you mention it. Go away. It's great, you know. I love Jane Eyre. I loved them all, you know. The classics are brilliant. Oh, I always fucking did that, didn't you? Hopeless. Jane Eyre, though, poet, you know, it's a great social comment. And when she meets him, what's his fucking name? It's gone. You know, I'm losing it, you know. Honestly, God, I'm losing it. But when she meets, you know, the main man, the love interest, she's looking up at him and he's on a horse. And the horse slips and he falls off his horse and he's lying on the ground. So from her looking up at him and he's looking down at her, it reverses. He's looking up at her and she's looking down at him. And that's the story. It's like Magwitch. Magwitch, where he grabs hold of little Pip. As soon as he grabs hold of little Pip and turns him upside down and shakes him to see if any money's coming out, Pip's world is turned upside down. That's what you call great literature. And the words, hey Frank, after your last literature show, I bought 2 classics, so you inspired me that night. Thank you. Thank you. I love me literature. Everyone should, especially with you being on, them little boats, just reading. There's something here, look. Very proud of this. Just bear with me. Bear with me. It's a script, me play. Script of me play. Shall I read you the cast? Not the real cast, that the actors are playing, but this cast. It's Charles Dickens. These are the cast. Mr. Turnbull, Mrs. Breakspear, Mrs. Sweeting, Colour Sergeant, Soldier Branch, Soldier Hoskins, Doctor 1 and Doctor 2. Officers, Soldier Strong, Soldier Collie, a man who just appears in it, and John Kirk. That's me cast. Beautiful people to play them as well. I had. So how about that? And one day I'll put it up. I'll listen to the programme later. Thanks for the compliment, says the lovely little Maggie. Very good so far. The miserable bag who was cruel to her as just yes, the auntie. Horrible. The Red Room as well. Jane Eyre, was it Mr. Rothschild? Yes. Very good, Maggie. You love it. And the poet said, sounds like heaven, that. Reading a book, drifting down a canal, not the beetle stroke the opposite ends of the canal. Don't let people hear you that. Don't let people hear saying that. I've always read books, not just the classics. I always thought I wouldn't understand them, but they speak on every level. I've found classics are the best, honestly. Fuck me, if you read modern day, honestly. Where is it? I can't show you, I can't fucking see, because it's dark in here, You wouldn't think so, would you? But it is. I can't, my neck kills me. Just looking. But anyway, I love me classics. The master says, this sunken car near Bootle, I keep forgetting about it, singing or something. I always smashed it. I almost smashed it. And Gerrans was the best. He went out to the Norfolk Broads, but he was a lot younger, him and his wife. And he said, we go down there, bring the kids, she said, you never driven a boat in your life. He said, I'll be easy, you'll have water and just go. He fucking crashed into it. When you see that again, she had never in a million years will I do that. And on that note, that mad note, that's not a car, it's a Scouse Coral. A Scouse Coral. Make these fucking things up. We should be on there. We should go to Hollywood, though. One of us could be a script writer. Anyway, people, see you later. See you later. Thank you so much. Ciao, everybody. See you some of you tomorrow morning. And if you're not, I'll see you Monday night for the history show. Should be good. Bye now. Bye. Have a good weekend if you don't show up anyway. Okay. Good night, everybody. Love.